Good evening and welcome to the FITT Show. Financial information for today and tomorrow. I'm Bobby Kinzer.
And I am Thomas Doty.
And we are the FITT Show, helping our people get their finances in shape. Well, Dope, we had another crazy week in the world of markets and in the world, just period, man. There's so much going on. It is truly amazing, Dope. How's your week been going?
This has been just a crazy rough week. It has up and down, but mostly down. This has been a bad week. I think the market got a little spooked with the bond yields going up, so that caused the some of the growth stocks to take a hit. For the past week, the Dow has been pretty flat. It hasn't really done that much. It started the week at a week ago was 34, about 34.6, and it ended the week about 34.5. It's less than a percent, less than half a percent change. But the Nasdaq kind of took it on the chin. It went from like 13.8, and it closed at about 13.4. That's about a 3% drop. And some of the heavy hitters that I hold all took a big hit. Microsoft dropped from 289 to from 299 to about 280. It's about a 6% drop. Tesla dropped from 1038 to 985. That's about a 5% drop. Apple dropped from 171 to 165. It's a 3.5% drop. And Pfizer, which had a nice little run last week, it dropped from 55 down to 53.12. That's about a 3.5% drop. So again, all this is with all the turmoil going on. It's kind of expected. We've told you things are going to be volatile for a while. Bob and I were talking. I told him I think I might buy some more Microsoft because, again, if I loved it at 330, or if I liked it at 330, I got to be crazy about it at 280. So that seems like one I may jump into a little deeper, but a little hesitant because I got a bunch in Microsoft already. So we always talk about not having too many eggs in one basket, but I just think that's a good buy right now. But that's where we are. Rough week. Market closed tomorrow. We just hope next week is better. Hope some of the earnings come in a little more positive, which will get things going in the right direction.
Yeah, just hope so. And the reason why the market's closed tomorrow is because it's Good Friday. But just want to remind people, please click on the thumbs up like button and the heart hit many times as you can, and put comments in the comment box. Anything you have, or if you have some opinions on what we're talking about, or you want to talk about a particular topic, put it in the comment box. We love that. And please always share when you're on Facebook Live. And please go out there on YouTube and click our subscribe button. And we really would appreciate that. Though, you know the stocks I like, and I've always been looking at Ford. But the interesting thing, man, General Motors been going hard on electric vehicles. They now trying to actually engage in a contract with an Australian company to create their own lithium batteries. They vowed to get rid of all combustion cars by 2035, if I'm correct. And they building a plant specifically for electric vehicles. So I don't know. I might hedge. I might buy some of Ford and buy some of
Tell me after you bought it. You like Ford, you like GM. Talk to me after you put your money where your mouth is.
So in other words of the famous philosopher, something like on foolishness. But I'm thinking I'm a hedge though. I'm gonna buy Ford and GM, and that way y'all hedge it.
Yeah, okay. I believe you.
We just say okie dokie. Hey, Dope, want to give another interesting stat about the market. Inflation went up to 8.5%. That means the cost of goods and consumer price index, the cost of goods are going up, man. And I'm like, wow. The other thing was, even though that went up, though, the unemployment rate has been hovering at, I think it was 3.6. I think it went up to 3.8. But I'm like, wow, despite, the prices and everything going up, now there were like something like 18,000 less jobs. No, job um, people making unemployment claims, right?
Right.
That's not much. But the thing about low unemployment, it favors employees because you've got low unemployment rates. Employer can't hold you hostage because there's no job out there for you to go to. But when there's a little bit more alternative jobs to go to because of low unemployment, it favors employees. But when the unemployment rates are high, it favors the employer because they know that there's no jobs out there and you're stuck there. But now, and all these jobs are offering like benefits, like you can stay at home and work virtual. Almost all of them now are giving you some health insurance. Um, some of them are giving you flex time, flexible work schedules. So it's the unemployment market right now is favoring is favoring the employees. Another little interesting stat though, the housing market. They were saying we were on the cusp of another housing bubble. But a couple of the pundits say that's not true. We can be calmed down because different than 2008 when they had the housing bubble, 40% of the mortgages though were variable rates. Now today they saying about 1% of the mortgages are variable rates. So you don't have to you don't have that pressure of people with adjustable rates that were skyrocketing. The other thing was who was it? The other thing was the qualifying the credit scores qualifying. They make it harder now for you to qualify for the credit to actually buy homes and buy cars. It's a lot tighter and stricter than back in 2008, and so they're saying that's going to simmer the housing bubble. And then there was one other thing that they said though, and that was, I want to make sure I got this right, that the housing inventory is low. So there's no homes out there for people to buy. So that's interesting about the housing bubble. So dope. Want to talk about my favorite, the crypto market. Cryptocurrency is down. Like last week, the the market cap for crystal cryptocurrency was $2.1 trillion. This week is down to $1.95 trillion. The market cap, meaning people that's in the market. Last week, Bitcoin was at $43,670. Today at 7 p.m., it was at $39,928. But Bitcoin is still ranked number one. It's down 3% today, but it's still up there. Um, the market cap last week was 829 billion. This week is 759. So it seems like people are selling off though. And I don't know what drives why people sell off. Well, I know what drives people selling off is people taking their profits, their gains, and heading for the hills. And it's interesting. Shiba went up and it's down today, but overall it was up for the week. And its market cap last week was 13.6 billion. This week the market cap is 14.1. So people are jumping into Shiba, and I think one of the reasons why though is because Robinhood now is allowing people to purchase Shiba on their exchange. So that may have something to do with that too. The Dogecoin, for some reason, has been going up. It's holding steady at 14 cents, but it was down as low as 11 cents a couple of weeks ago. Um, Smart contracts, one of the second top cryptocurrency, Ethereum, a lot of people look at, it's down 3%. So the whole cryptocurrency market has been down, except for a few. And like the stable coins where I talked about, like Tether and USD coin, they've been holding stable. That's why they're called stable coins. So just wanted to break down the crypto market to everybody. Though this week, our topic now, some people may feel that this topic don't apply to them. And we're going to be talking today about college planning, college costs, and student loan management. Now, some people will say, I don't know if this subject this week apply to them, but remember, this information, if it's not for you, you may know somebody who needs this information, or you might be someone that has a kid that's getting ready to go to college, or you may have kids that have loans right now, student loans, or you could be a grandparent thinking about helping out one of your grandchildren in funding their college needs. So this week we've talked about always talked about all the issues in finances and personal money management, but we never talked about college funding. So this week, we're going to talk about it. If it doesn't apply to you, don't look at it that way. Look at it as information that you can pass on that can help somebody else. Because a lot of people out here struggling with college debt, though. I think it's up to $1.7 trillion now.
Yeah, it's pretty scary, Bob, the amount, and that might be the next big bubble that it causes the economy to crash.
That's what they, interesting that you say that, though. That's what they actually are saying,
Right, because that's a burden that a lot of people can't handle, and you got so many people paying for college courses and they aren't getting jobs that are allowing them to pay those mortgages off. So, not mortgages, those loans off. So that's a little bit of what we're going to talk about tonight.
So, though, I want to talk about. Let's begin by talking about, college. Just college as an opportunity as a whole, because we know college is not for everybody. We do know that, but statistics show by 2040, they say 80% of the jobs that are going to be available, you're going to have a minimum bachelor's degree to be able to apply for those type of jobs. So I just want to talk about, college education. This particular graph, though, shows you the green bar or the second bar from the left, a high school diploma, the average earnings, based on U.S. Census Bureau, says that with a high school diploma, the average person will probably earn about $41,829. But if you go fourth bar from the left, the gray bar, showing you have a bachelor's degree, they're saying the average earnings would be $73,880. That's like a 79% increase between just having a high school diploma or bachelor's degree. And then you go far right to the orange bar, and if you have a master's degree, the earnings is about $87,570. Now, a bachelor's degree, on average, they're saying, if you have a bachelor's degree, a grad will earn about $1.8 million in a lifetime versus a high school grad.
1.8 million more, yes.
More, yeah. I'm sorry, yeah, more, I'm sorry, right. But, we know college is not for everybody, but if you do decide to go to college, it's so important, though, because I see a lot of my friends, they're now these statistics may be misleading because it depends on a lot of the jobs that you get, and lower income people sometimes are not able to go to the large, more weighted colleges or respected colleges, and they sometimes take up majors that they come out and does not is not applicable to the job market, and they ended up working lower jobs. So a lot of times people of color wages are even lower than what the scale shows.
Yeah, and myself personally, I was a social welfare major for a couple of years in college, and a professor talked me out of it by saying you won't make any money, you'll be frustrated. It's a lot of administrative work. He said you need to find a job where you can make some money and you can do your civic duty on your own time with your own, with your own money. And that's why I switched into accounting. I was always good in math, and I looked at the job offers that accountings had, and that's why I got into accounting. But it's not just a college education. You have to have a college education and something that you can make some money. And so that's what we'll talk about a little bit more. And realizing some people's dream may be like music, for example. You may want to major in music, and there are not a lot of jobs for music. But as my son told me, if you want to bet on yourself, there's definitely nothing wrong with that, and go for it and put your heart and soul into it. And if you're good at it and work hard enough, you'll make money at whatever you choose to do. So this is a general statement. Higher education pays. As Bob has said, it's not for everybody. A lot of it depends on the major you pick and job opportunities. And so bear that in mind. These are just averages.
And so this is what I've learned, what I would do differently from what I did when I started off in college. Because I first started off and the counselor was telling me about accounting, and it talked about all those math classes and calculus, and I was like, man, that's some hard stuff. It just sort of discouraged me. But if I was to do it over again, what I want to tell young people and what you should tell your children and young people, just because something is difficult, that should not deter you from your goal of what you're trying to accomplish. Because if it was that easy, everybody was doing it. But everybody changes and adjusts what they decide to go in as a career. But don't let it because it was difficult, because it was hard. The courses were hard. Because I too, though, started off, well, I actually got a sociology degree, a double degree, sociology and anthropology. But as I was coming to the end, and I realized how much money a sociologist, a social worker was going to make, and even with a master's degree, I started taking me some daggone business classes, and that's how I ended up as a finance as my career, because I was like, I'll save the world after 5 o'clock.
Hey, Bob, but you know what's funny? At Penn State, they were getting so many job offers for accounting majors that they made the curriculum much more difficult. I mean, intermediate accounting at Penn State was unbelievably hard because that was used as the course to trim the number of people majoring in accounting. And that's what it did. It got a lot of people out of accounting. So as Bob says, you fight through it. And the reward was when you finished, you had a bunch of people offering you jobs. And that was the benefit of having fought through it.
Now look at this next slide. We're talking about the average tuition and free fees at ranked colleges. So in private schools, we just talked about average, and this is based on 2021 figures from a U.S. News. A private college average 35,000. Private.
That's just tuition. That's not room and board, guys.
That's just tuition. Yes, exactly. And the public out of state is 21,000. I mean, that's just damn near $14,000 difference. And then you have the public in state, which is $9,687. Now I know though this becomes I don't know if I call it a social economic thing, a class thing, or a cultural thing. But I know some people who say they went to a school like Purdue, which is about 60 some $1,000 somewhere in their year, and they want their kid to go there. But their finances are limited. They're in debt. They were bad decision makers and big up in debt and credit card and other costs. But they want their kids to go to a private school, and they bust their balls to get their kids when they could go to a state school and get equal, if not better, education and cost less. But sometimes it's like a status thing with some people of trying to, or the kid just want to go to the school. But if you don't have the money, it just puts so much pressure on parents.
Yeah, but the tough part is you have to balance, your kids' wants and your finances. And it's like the last thing you want is your kid having a rough time at a school, and he's thinking, I'm only at this school because my dad wanted me to go there. I was kind of, my philosophy was, I'll pay for you to go to Penn State if you want to go someplace it's way more expensive than Penn State. If it's an elite school, I will pay for that. But I will not pay for a private school that's not elite. And so, all my kids, two of my kids went to Penn State, and two of them one went to Georgetown, one went to St. Joe's. And that was kind of my philosophy. Now, the one that went to St. Joe's, he got most of his paid for, so it didn't really cost me any money. But you got all the emotional, the pressure of the prestige of where you say your kid's going to school, or the prestige for the kid to say he's going to this school or that school. And being in the business world for as long as I have, what school you went to may help you get in the door. But once you're in the door, that it means nothing. It's all about what you do. And again, that's weighed against the contacts you might make or the strong alumni. Like anywhere you go, you say you went to Penn State, people have heard of Penn State. There's a little school outside of Pittsburgh called Indiana University of Pennsylvania. If you want to stay in Pennsylvania, people probably heard of it. But if you go anywhere outside of Pennsylvania, nobody heard of that school.
Right.
If you find a way to get in and can prove you are worth, you're a good employee, it doesn't matter where you went to school, but you got to get in the door. And that name school might help you get in the door. But it shouldn't be to the point where it makes you broke or you're saddled with so much loan debt that you'll never get out from under it. So there's some economical ways to go to college and get a degree, but unfortunately, so much of it is emotional. So much of it is emotional.
Yeah. And not based on real planning and good sound financial decisions. Though Modestine said you can also go to trade school and get a good education.
You mentioned that because you said college isn't for everybody. It's not for everybody. And you can get, go try to find a plumber and see how much they charge, or an electrician or a carpenter, or let your air conditioner break and try to find somebody that you can make good money doing those types of things. And a lot of those cases, you can work for yourself and have peace of mind of not having somebody over your shoulder. So definitely, college is not for everybody. There's more than one way to be successful.
Now, I want to ask you a question that came up at a session I was doing at UDC one time. And the lady asked me, she said, "Sir, so I understand, different universities, some are more prestigious than others." She said, "But when it comes to choosing a particular major, like a teacher, let's say," she asked me, and I want to know your take on this, though, just your opinion. She said, "Sir, do you think it'll make a difference if you're going for an education degree, if you got it from Harvard or you got it from UDC?"
You know what? And I touched on that before. That Harvard degree may help you get in the door. You may have more opportunities because you went to Harvard. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a better teacher. Now, for some people, it's worth it to pay. First, you have, assuming you can get in, but it's worth it to pay that premium to get into that better school, because again, you'll probably have more opportunities because of the name recognition and the alumni associated with it. But it's like we talk about, Bob. If you, once you get in the door, you can prove your worth. You can work hard enough to
So don't
outperform that person.
do you think a person with an education degree from UDC is more educated or more or less educated than a person that get a teacher's degree from Harvard?
No, I don't think Harvard has any teacher degrees, but yeah, but I know what you're saying.
No, no,
But but they're just different experiences. And it's one thing it's kind of funny because I came up, my parents didn't go to college. So my goal was to get to college and live a better life than my parents. Well, that was my motivating factor. But as I grew older, a lot of people I've talked to who have money, their philosophy is go to a nice liberal arts school and just learn to learn for the sake of learning. And again, it's a little different if you're coming out of the hood and you don't have a backup if that doesn't work. But think about how stupid it is for an 18-year-old to pick a major and decide what he's going to do the rest of his life.
Right.
That makes no sense at all, but that's how the system works now. But that philosophy of getting a liberal arts education, being well-rounded, learn something about everything, about the arts, about a little bit about science, about history, and just learn to learn those skills theoretically will help you in whatever endeavor you choose. And as I was younger, I totally didn't understand that because my only reason to go to college was to get a job and make money and live better than I had grown up. But as you get older, you learn different things. And that makes some sense to me. Being the accountant and the black and white person that I am, I'm still not sure I'd be okay with my kid telling me they wanted to go to a liberal arts school and major in history. I think I would still have some trouble with that. But again, those are just different options. And it comes down to whether you get an opportunity and what you do with that opportunity. So whether you went to UDC or you went to Harvard, if you get an opportunity, you're prepared, you bust your butt and do well, you'll probably be successful.
Yes, yeah. I mean, yes, it wasn't no right or wrong answer, to be honest. I just wanted to know, like you said, that's such a thin line, man, and to expect a kid to know just because a person go to this school or that school, and that's the world we live in. We live in a class system. You know what I'm saying? Middle class and lower class, and that's the sad part about it. But I just want to know your take on it. No, let's discuss some of those key insights.
Yeah, you talk about having a college diploma. Right now, 44% of jobs require an education. More, 5 years ago, you got. That's a minimum. That's becoming a minimum requirement. Having a degree, you think about that. That's huge. Not saying you're any smarter. It just says you persevere for 4 or 5 years and got a degree. 79% of families must rule out some colleges due to cost, which the accountant that I am, that makes sense. You got to do what you can afford, and you don't want to end up with way more debt than you can handle. 57% of families don't have a plan to pay for college. Some people don't have the wherewithal to pay for it. And that just creates situations, because I know in general, Black folks are more likely to drop out because of cost than anybody else. So definitely an issue. 69% of college graduates incur student loan debt. I would have thought that number was higher, but because a lot of people I knew in college were doing it with loans. And again, a lot of people, especially folks coming from the neighborhood, didn't have parents who had the money to pay for it. So that was the only way they could go. And finally, 51% of college students drop out by the second year due to financial difficulties. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but true. And communities of color, loan repayment's an issue. That's an issue. And not to sound elitist, but getting a major where you can't get a job and you've borrowed money to do it, that's what we're talking about, this bubble coming along. You got all these people with all these loans and they have jobs that they can't afford to pay for it. So if possible, try to major in something that's going to get you a job, or if you have the wherewithal and you can just go to college, just learn, and you have the confidence in yourself and you believe in yourself that you'll find something and do well at that, then then go for it.
No, I want to talk now about some of the sources of college funding. If you look at the dark area, which is blue, it says 30% is the parents' income and savings, and 13% is parent borrowing. Together, that's 43%. That's almost half of the funding for a young person's college funding. And then there's 31% that comes from grants and scholarships. And though is as simple as this sounds, I know a lot of people who do not exhaust the search for grants and scholarships. And as you can see, 31% of people actually get their funding from grants and scholarships. Like we got, we applied for over 50 different grants and scholarships, though. Then because of our pension income, because they base it off the your income and FAFSA, which is kind of messed up. They penalize you for being old, but but grants. A lot of people don't really exhaust the grants opportunities out there. There's a particular site called Funding Sources, Tuition Funding Sources.com, and it's got over $7 billion worth of grants and scholarships. It has all the standard ones from colleges, which is usually limited, but it has those and more. Tuition Funding Sources.com. It is run by Wells Fargo, but they're not selling any products. It's a general free site, free from them selling products or anything like that. And you go out, they even had scholarships for left-hand people, though.
Hey, Bob, there's so many out there. Like when my kids were going through, a lot of the fraternities were giving scholarships. The Kappas, the Qs, the Alphas were giving scholarships. Our church was giving scholarships. I mean, if you pick a certain major, they were giving scholarships. But as you said, a lot of people don't look. There's a lot of money left on the table from scholarships and grants that people just don't look at. Don't take the time to find.
Right. And they're out there, and it takes writing, and now some of them, and we got Melody got a scholarship doing a video, just talking about, what she wanted to do. Our church gave Melody a $12,000 scholarship. Matter of fact, we got about another 5,000 from 4 different Christian based organizations. There was a Christian men association that gave Melody money. But it was interesting. Most of the money we got were from Christian-based or religious-based organizations. So, like the average need-based grant, I thought was way more than this, though. But it's $5,732, and the average
that would have been higher too.
Yeah, I thought it would have been higher. I was like, God, I didn't find this out until we started searching for my daughter, and then the average merit scholarship is $7,562. I'm like, good gracious, man.
But I mean, it's sad to say, but a lot of people who need may not have applied to go to college, or may not have the wherewithal to go to college, or may have come up in a school system that didn't prepare them to go to college. So that could be what's driving it too.
Yeah. Hey, man, Garnett, our favorite viewer, she said, I wish I have checked into scholarships and grants. You see what I'm saying, though? A lot of people just didn't do it. We assumed they did. But it was interesting, though. Look how it's just 2% for friends and families. I'm like, God damn, Uncle Bubba. Dang. But check. So this is normally how the priority works. Go for the free money. We know that. Go for the free money first. Seek the free money for scholarships and grants, then family money, from your parents, work study. And then the third one should be then you borrow. And federal is always better than private student loans because they have so many and different advantages for low income people. And we're going to talk about that.
Hey, Bob, and a buddy of mine had an interesting take. He made all of his kids pay 1/3 of their college cost. They were responsible for that. They could work, they could borrow, they could do whatever was necessary to get that money. And he told me that made them have some skin in the game. And it probably does help them not waste money knowing that they put something into it. And I didn't do that with my kids because that's just how I thought. I kind of was my responsibility to handle their college. But that seems like that makes sense to me to make sure they got some skin in the game.
So this right here, though, is showing financial need and financial aid. And this is the formula, how they determine your financial need. What they say, your EFC, your expected family contribution. And this is the formula. No matter which college your child attends, they use the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. And they determine your EFC, your expected family income. So the left column, though, and it's interesting that they use this. Franklin Templeton used the cost of attendance as tuition and fees, which we talked earlier and said, wait, there's more than tuition and fees. There's women board, there's books and supplies, personal expenses, and transportation. And what people don't realize, in that little personal expenses, there's way more things in there like laptops, summer school, spring break if your kid, nowadays these boys going to Cancun, studying abroad, tutoring. How about that extra food, that pizza and late night food that kids be eating, or that because they don't like the cafeteria food? These are costs that can really increase, the cost of school. So then you minus your expected family contribution. I used to think it was based mostly on your assets, but not. It really isn't. It's up to about 5.6% is based on your assets, but it's mostly based on parents' income. Up to 47% of the income determines financial aid and need. And then students, they look at 50% of the income and 20% of the assets. And as far as income, they look at 529 plan, which I think is not fair. But the 529 plan is a college fund that you can invest in. You can even put a lump sum at today's cost, and say your kid is like, 10 years old. Say your kid is 5 years old. You can put this at the cost, a lump sum of what that cost for that university is today. And when they graduate to go to college at 18, that's how much it would cost, and you save money for today's cost, But then they have the monthly contributions, which you put in an investment fund, and it grows, and the earnings are tax-free as long as you use them towards your kids' education. And now, not only can you use it for college, universities, you can use it for private schools. And then now the great thing is grandparents, if you listen, grandparents can contribute to this and help young people get ahead. So this is usually the formula that they come up with the financial need.
Yeah, but just make sure you get somebody who knows what they're doing, because this has to be set up the right way. So like the naming conventions, as I think as you're the owner, and it's an owner and beneficiary, and the student has to be the beneficiary. So make sure you get it set up right, because you don't want to start taking the money out and find out it's taxable because you didn't do what you needed to do. A lot of states also give you a break. A lot of states give you a tax deduction for a 529 contribution. So check your state laws and rules as far as 529s. As far as federal goes, it's not deductible, but as Bob said, the earnings grow tax-free.
Right.
Which is huge.
That's huge. And the example of like if a student that they would count as students' assets or savings is a UGMA. What's it? Universal. I don't forget what it was. The UGMA. United Universal Gift to Minors Act. Excuse me.
Oh yeah.
And that's like like almost like a trust fund that you put in tax free. And the only thing you got to watch out on this one, when your kid becomes 18, they become the owner of it. And if they don't decide to go to college, they can take that money and do what they want with it. So be careful on that one.
This is one. We touched on this a little bit where it becomes emotional, because I mean, you can save almost 40% by going to a 2-year community college as opposed to going to school. Now, again, this takes all the emotion out of it, realizing I'm an accountant, black and white. This is how I see it. But I didn't do it for my kids because I wanted them to experience going to college, being on campus, blah, blah, blah. But if your money's tight, you can definitely save big money by sending your kids to a community college. And the crazy thing is, most of the courses you take your first 2 years are so general in nature that doesn't really matter what you take. Like basic psychology is basic psychology. Basic English is basic English. And there's money to be saved by going to a community college, living at home. You aren't paying room and board. A lot of the, for example, in the state, they have branch campuses. Now, I'm not sure if they were cheaper. I don't know what the cost was, but community colleges are definitely cheaper. If you go that route, make sure your kids are in courses that will transfer to a 4-year university. That's not always a direct relationship, okay? So make sure they're going to that the courses they're taking transfer into a 4-year school. And this is where it gets really crazy, because colleges, I mean, they're smart. When Bob and I were back at Penn State, you had a 2-week window to add and drop classes. Well, now kids can drop classes up until the final. And so what happens? You're not doing well in the course, you drop it. School doesn't care. That just means that's an extra semester, an extra course you have to take down the road. That's money they get in the future. So they make it easy to drop a course. So that's another thing where if you haven't been to college, you don't know, and you can end up dropping courses, then you have an extra year of school you have to pay for, and that's another 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, or 70,000, depending on where you go. So you have to stay on it and make sure if you go to community college, the courses transfer, and if you go to a regular college, make sure you stay on course to graduate in a minimum amount of time.
And you got to ask the question, is the community college right for you and for your family? You know, are you concerned about the cost of student debt? Can course, like Dope said, can course credits be transferred to a bachelor's degree? Would the student rather live at home? Is the student undecided on a major? That's what, Dope, I find this very important, because I notice nowadays, and actually back in the day too, but even more so, a lot of kids, like you said, they're 18, they don't even know what they want to major in. So community college is a good chance to go and they fill out what they want to do, and it's not going to, cost you. Because I know some people put their kids in, private schools or more elite schools, and they spend, $50,000-$60,000 a year, and the kid, changes majors 2-3 times or even drop out. When community college gives a kid a chance to get a feeling of what they want to do, a feeling of college, and I think it's a great alternative.
Yeah, the tough part is telling your kid where they're going to school. All their buddies are going to a 4-year school and telling them about the experience, and your kid's going to a community college. That's a tough one. I'll admit that's an issue.
Right. But sometimes, a lot of times, though, The money in your pocket determines where they go. Because if you ain't got the money and all you have is community college money, guess where you going? So, just right quick, I want to show this. People can take a snapshot of this. But the differences of saying, I told you how it's better with a federal loan versus a private student loan. And this is just some of the differences because the interest rates are fixed and they are lower, often lower private. They're actually lower than private loans. And, private student loans can vary as high as 18%. And just want to show this. And then another good thing about federal loans is if you have more than one, you can consolidate them into a direct consolidation loan, where most private student loans you can't consolidate into a direct loan. So for the people who have kids, or some people on here that have debt, and this is some of the delinquency and default information, because a lot of people don't realize that default occurs begins on the day after the due date when the full amount is not paid. So that default occurs after 270 days. That's 9 months of delinquency. And then is usually the student loan is called in full. So you need to make sure you understand that. But loan services always try to keep the borrower making payments because it will save the borrower time and interest payments in the long run. Just want to show you the consequences of default. And because I know a lot of young people who get into these loans don't realize the effect of these defaults. And it could be reported to credit bureaus. It can really affect your credit score. You become no more eligible for federal student loans. The loan, like I said, will immediately become due and payable in full if you delinquent outside of 270 days. Collection agencies will be calling you, and they can possibly garnish your wages. So just want to make that point. This is ways that you can get out of that default. There are options. One, plain and simple, you pay the loan in full. Two, you consolidate and agree to pay under the income-driven plan. There's different plans on how loans. You got the standard, you got the graduated, but income-driven plan is based. Usually tied to your income to make it easier for you to pay what it corresponds with the income you're making. And then third, you can consolidate after making 3 consecutive payments, or you can rehabilitate the loan and make 9 on-time payments in 10 consecutive months. That's important. And this is deferment versus forbearances. Deferment means they just delay it. Forbearances is they totally forgive it. Deferments, just a list of them. You can take a picture of this. It could be because of unemployment, military, forbearances. It could be medical. You can have even medical dental internship residency. That's interesting.
I got a buddy in Alaska who doctor in Alaska because they have a shortage up there, and they'll pay his student loans.
Yeah, those are forbearances. You can be the National Guard, or you have actual medical issues, and it's acceptable reasons. Just want to show that for people to see that. Now, this is just a list. People just take a screenshot because this is a very good list of information that you need for any student loans that you have. The number 2 one is this student loan, studentaid.ed.gov. Oh my God, it is a wealth comprehensive, put in simple language. Everything you need to know is out there on that federal site about student aid. But this is just a list of it. Remember, add to it tuition funding sources, plural.com. Dope.
College planning checklist. I'm always talking about setting goals, create a plan, review, adjust. What type of college should we consider? You might want to go to vocational training. You might want to go to community college. Figure out what's best for you. How much it's going to cost, always important. What's your family's financial outlook? How much of the cost can you save or borrow? And finally, financial aid offer. What percent of federal versus private? And we can't emphasize enough checking out all the money that's available out there for loans. A lot of money available.
A lot of money. So dope, as we always do. I just want to give a shout out to some of our people. Modestine said, I have a friend who co-signed for her daughter's student loan, and the daughter refuses to pay, and she is paying her daughter's student loan to protect her credit. That's a tough one, but that's what you gotta watch out for. But you know what, though, on one of our topics, one of the major things we said no was whatever you do, don't co-sign. I know that's that's easier said than done.
Yeah, you can say that, but some stuff happens, and you believe in somebody, and for some reason they can't come through.
So want to give our shout out like we normally do to our wonderful, steady, and devoted viewer, Modestine Johnson, and the wonderful Garnett Nickens. Our frat brother, our powerful brother Rob Robinson, and want to shout out to my good buddy who went to UDC with me, Louise Spriggs, and Robin Denise Robin Roberts. What's up, Robin? How you doing, girlfriend? Maddie Ford, that's my girl, my homie, FDIC's finest. We got Deborah Joe Lott out there, dope. We got we got my main man Joe Finelli, great FDIC guy, and just that dude is so knowledgeable about taxes, man. Love that. And the incomparable, one of the greatest educators of all time, though, my good buddy, Mr. Bruce Crossman. Glad to see you online, Bruce. Dope, let's take it home as we always do. Let's talk about our takeaways.
Higher education pays off most of the time, and we say that when you get a job, it after you finish and you can do it without a lot of loans, and you make a lot of money and go on in your career and do well. Most of the time that happens. A lot of times it doesn't. If you pick the wrong major, if you have to quit, or a lot of bad things can happen also.
Understand how you will pay for college and all the other costs it entails. When we talk about all those other personal expenses, look at the full cost when you go into school, or look at the full cost of the information that they give you. I've seen people misread the award letter. I knew someone who read the award letter and they thought they were getting their full college paid. It was $50,000, but they actually gave them $22,000, and it was for 1 year. But they thought the $22,000 was each year, and it covered the actual payment of college. But it wasn't, and it was a very hard slap in the face because they wasn't able to go to that school.
And a lot of us got to remind people, a lot of the scholarships have minimum grade requirements. You have to keep a certain GPA. So be aware of all the limitations that's in those scholarship packages. Finally, make an economical choice. And you want your kid to be involved in where they go, but it has to be within reason. You might want to set up boundaries. Some kids go to schools that are, a plane ride away, which again, as Bob talks about, that just adds to the cost. And it's not necessarily for a specific major. It could be just because they want to go to school in Florida, or they want to go somewhere nice. So it's like every other transaction you make. It's an economical decision. Just try to make the most economical choice you can make.
So let's thank everybody who hung in there with us. A lot of people stayed the whole time. Thank y'all so much. We know that sometimes the information may not apply to you, but remember, It's not just about you. We're trying to help all boats rise. So if you saw any information here that you can share with your coworkers, with your family members, please do. And that's not just with this session. This is with all our sessions, y'all. We want to spread the knowledge because people only know what they know. No, I didn't have half of this information when I was growing up. You know, I actually made my own decisions about where I went to Penn State and everything. and but now we have the fortunate opportunity to have this information at our fingertips. So thank you all for staying in there with us. This is our 46th show, though. We're heading for that 50, the big 5-0, man. And remember, happy Easter to everybody. Happy Good Friday. And happy tax paying day. You have until Monday, the 18th. You reward an extra day, but some of y'all get your taxes done. And this is what I want to tell you. Remember, Uncle Sam always gets his man and woman. I don't play with Uncle Sam, you know. And if you got to get an extension, get an extension. I know what I want to do, though. I'm sorry. I want to do this for individuals, especially because it's tax season. I want you all to understand. Go out there if you're having problems with your taxes and you've been delayed or you've been fined and feed and penalties or just having problems. You need to go out there. There's a place to go called taxpayersadvocate.com. It's a site for IRS, and it's not the claim agent, so don't get nervous. A lot of people, we say IRS, no, I might say the wrong thing. No, this is set up with attorneys by the IRS to help individuals, and it's called Taxpayer Advocate. And I'm looking for the telephone number right now. I can't believe it's not coming up that fast. But go out to taxpayeradvocate.irs.gov. It is free. It's kind of tough right now because, as you know, it's coming to the end of tax season, so everybody is out there calling it. But I just want to tell you, you should check it out if you're having some problems with your taxes. It's a free service and it's provided by IRS. So who better to go right to the horse's mouth? So just want to say that. Go out there and check it out. Thank you, everybody. No, any last words?
That's it.
Okay, we'll see you next week. Same back channel, same back place. Have a wonderful day, man, and may the peace of God be with you.